Hey FrightFlicks, this is Melanie Ann, and here's my mini review of season 1 of Scream on MTV. Overall, I would give it a thumbs up for sure, an 8 out of 10. Even though there were episodes that definitely dragged, kind of slowed the momentum at times, I think they were also necessary for planting clues, kind of building the mystery surrounding the characters that would hopefully pay off, which in some cases they did, and in some cases we're obviously waiting for more information reveals in season 2. But overall, I liked it. I felt that there was enough humor and entertainment value to definitely give it a recommend. I would say the 3 top episodes are the ones that have probably most been discussed with you guys. That would be episode 4, which was Aftermath, that took place in the hospital. There was a lot of detective work. It featured a lot of Emma, Audrey, and Noah, who are kind of, I think, probably the most popular characters at this point. They're our core group, and they'll probably stick around for a long time to come, I'm guessing. The hospital scenery had so much great production design and cinematography work. So just in terms of the artistry of that episode, I really, really enjoyed it. There's some good scares in there involving the Brandon James mask and kind of building the mystery, again, surrounding that mythology. So I really recommend episode 4. Next up, of course, actually this would be my top episode 7, In the Trenches, which we're all referring to as the the bowling alley episode. Definitely from start to finish, this was the most gripping. It was entertaining. It was funny. It kind of allowed the ensemble to really shine in places where perhaps they couldn't fully in earlier episodes. And there was just so much atmosphere. The directing and the writing was really, really sharp, sharper than it had been all season. And there were also just a lot of funny one-liners from Jake in particular and Noah. And the ending with Will's death, of course, that was foreshadowed in earlier episodes, was really shocking and kind of gruesome. This episode in general just set the bar really high for the future, and I'm kind of hoping there'll be more episodes like this come season 2 with just a lot more excitement and momentum. And then lastly, the finale revelations. There were a lot of payoffs. There was a lot of suspense. I really thought the scene with Brooke kind of facing the killer and kind of trying to escape his, or in this case we know it's now her grasp, was really effective. And I didn't think she was going to make it, to be honest. So it was kind of nice actually that Brooke kind of stood up to Branson, and then she kind of escaped the killer's grasp. She nearly escaped, and then she did. But I just, I think the finale reveal, the big reveal at the end, having Piper as the killer wasn't really as big of a shock as maybe most of us had hoped, but it still had a lot of the campy and kind of action-packed elements that made the Scream franchise what it is. So I would still recommend that. So those would be my 3 top episodes. As far as season 2 goes, the things that I want to see personally, Noah as much as possible, just because he's just so funny. It would be nice if they kind of, now that he's the new podcaster in town, it'd be nice to just see what his commentary is kind of in every episode. I'm curious to see how they weave that into the show now that Piper is gone and he's kind of taken over that role as narrator, which he already was to a degree. I'd also just obviously like to learn more about Audrey's involvement. Obviously, I'm sure there'll be more murders continuing, but is it going to be at her hands, or her orchestration, or by someone else's? I think that's the main key here. And obviously, I had chosen Piper and Branson as the main killers. So I was half right, I guess. But I had mentioned that Audrey was probably not an innocent for a number of reasons, largely due to the DNA in the mask and the Brandon James photo, the photo she has of Emma. I actually have a theory that I still feel that maybe Piper wasn't Brandon James's child, and there's a good chance that Audrey is. I just feel that there's a real connection, and like what Mike said about how she was growing to like Emma again, there's definitely a familial connection, and in the end Audrey did save Emma, so that kind of says a lot. She didn't have to do that. She could have let Emma die, and she chose to let her live. So that in and of itself was kind of like a big reveal, if you want to call it that. And as far as some of the other characters go, I definitely want to learn more about Maggie and what her quote-unquote mistakes were, besides getting involved romantically with Brandon James and betraying him. She kind of more than one occasion, she seems to imply throughout the season that there's just been a lot of mistakes that she's made. So she's really going to have to fill in the blanks, and I'm sensing there's going to be a lot more betrayal than her just having Brandon James's baby. Did she have a hand in the murders back then? Does she know who did? Was it Emma's father, if not Brandon James? I think there's a lot more behind her mask, so to speak. I think she's hiding a lot of things that she hasn't quite revealed because she just doesn't know how to. And in some cases she thought she was protecting Emma, but now I think she's realized, especially through the tragedy and the death of the sheriff, that she's going to have to start coming clean. And a few of the other characters that definitely I want to know more about. I definitely want to know more about Kieran. He's likable to a degree, but there's still a lot of mystery surrounding his past. Why was he arrested? Who were his parents? Did he even tell the entire truth about Nina from the night at the bar? That I'm still kind of curious about, if that's the whole truth. And Jake, I think Jake is still a suspect in my mind. I think it's interesting interesting. I rewatched the season finale, and he says he was, walking by the lake after his quarrel with Brooke. And then, of course, he swooped in as he often tries to be the hero. And just throughout the season, he talked about apex predators and torturing the ice, trust issues. He spied on people. I think the frat boy act is definitely one that I'm not buying. And I think he's a lot smarter than the kind of silly one-liners, we kind of enjoy from him. So my prediction is that him and, Brooke will kind of start season 2 with a romance, but it probably will all quickly go to hell because my guess is there's still a lot of secrets that he's withholding, unless he's killed off in the beginning. We'll see. And then my last kind of hope for season 2, if they're going to have Branson stick around, I hope he has like kind of a real purpose. Just, maybe there was more of a connection with Piper. I know Mike had suggested that maybe they had a relationship. So I'm kind of curious to know more just about like what his indiscretions were, because we really still know very little about him. We know that he's a very shady character and he has ulterior motives. And, I thought it was actually really cool that Brooke didn't trust him. It kind of made me like her character more. And yeah, he just is very untrustworthy. So I'm curious to see, what they do with that in season 2. I know the showrunner from interviews that I read, she wanted to keep him around. So if she's going to keep him around, hopefully it's for a good reason and it's suspenseful. Now I know how you guys feel. This is probably running too long, but thank you guys. You've made it really, really fun to watch Scream. I actually got more hooked into it just from listening to your podcast. So well done.